Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening, wherever you may be tuning in from. Hello and welcome to the Future Law Virtual Summit, Negotiating the New Normal. We have a lovely guest here today, Rhiannon Thomas, who is going to be taking us through an interactive experience for this play shop from transactional to transformative legal practice, I believe. So Rhiannon, I'd love to just invite you to introduce yourself and give us a bit of a sense of what brought you to the work that you're now doing.
Thanks very much, Samir. Hi, so I'm Rhiannon Thomas, and I'm a lawyer, but I'm a lawyer who wears a lot of different hats, and some of those hats are mediator, values consultant, and and I call myself an integrative lawyer. I also have a coaching qualification and do some values coaching with people and in businesses who want to get clearer on what their values are. So, and in my practice, I do two quite different things, but for me, they are connected through the idea that law is about, well, the area of law that I'm in is about relationships. And so I take a relational approach to the practice of law, where for me, I use law as a way of building relationships between people. So on the one side, I'm involved in what's called conscious contracting, which is an approach to contracting that looks at what the parties are bringing to the relationship and helps them to build an agreement collaboratively with the help of the lawyer, and that really reflects their relationship and provides a kind of blueprint for their relationship going forward. So rather than the traditional approach, which looks towards the end of the contract and what will happen if you mess up or if things go wrong, this contract does that too, but it does it in a different way by looking at it from the early stages of what you're trying to create. And then on the other side, I work around contracts between individuals, like marriage contracts and the very last contract you'll ever draw up or create, which is a contract with your beneficiaries or your heirs, and it's your will. And so I take a relational approach to that as well. So instead of a very mechanical and formulaic approach that is taken by many lawyers working in that area, I actually try and get, I get the clients to engage with the relationship that is being, the relationship. So if it's the marriage, we actually look, instead of with an antenuptial contract or a prenup, as they call them in the States, instead of looking at, how things will work when the marriage ends, we look at how we want the relationship to work during the marriage. And with the will, instead of just looking at what will happen to your things, I get people to focus more on the kind of legacy that they wish to leave behind for their family. And the way that I do all this work is by using values and getting the clients to engage really deeply with their values. And so this play shop is actually going to be about values, because that's a way to transform one's legal practice. So to actually bring that into the conversation. And it's an amazing thing, because when people talk about values, they talk about the things that matter most to them. And then you have the human connection. Whereas if you go in straight with the law, people automatically become quite defensive, actually, because they feel that they don't really understand exactly what's going on, and it changes the dynamic. So that's a bit about me.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Rhiannon. And I think it's quite evident that, I mean, in your work and how you've described it, you're bringing a lot more heart into law. you know, a discipline that often for many people just is so dry and mechanical as you described it. So I think to me it sounds like that is the new normal. That is, you know, where we're moving towards. And it does make law, I think, a lot more exciting when you're talking about relationships and building trust and collaborating. So you already talked a little bit about the play shop that you're going to be giving us here today, about exploring the values and what that might mean for us and for, well, the world, I imagine. So would you just like to take it away from here, Rhiannon, and take us on this journey?
All right.
Lovely.
Do that.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen, and so you need to just tell me where that you can see it, because I've been a bit lacking in tech skills recently.
Sure, no problem.
Let me just open up my presentation. So I've got some slides I'm going to work through, There, you'll see they're not very dense with a lot of information because it's more of an interactive session. And the more you participate, the more you'll get out of the session. So first thing. Okay, so share screen. Let's see if it's working for me. There it is. And start the slideshow. Oops. Right. Are you seeing a big green?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So so I've called this play shop values as a tool for the practice of life and the life of your practice. Because for me, values are something about the inside and without. So, and as you said, it's about bringing more heart into law. And that's exactly what my LinkedIn profile says. And that is my goal, is to bring more heart into law and the other intelligences that we have. And when we talk about our values, we talk from a different place, not from the cerebral mind. And we actually start talking from the heart and from the soul, or whatever you believe being that sort of essence of ourselves. So what are we going to do in the play shop? It's always nice to know what you're going to do. So I'm going to start with a check-in, and then I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to values. We're going to do a group exercise. We might do that in the big group, or depending on if people join, we could split into smaller groups, but we might just do it in plenary and then have a reflection opportunity. Or actually, if you are okay with it, I might put you into groups of 2, or a group, just put you into a group of 3 or 2 or something, so you can talk without me there. And then we're going to do another exercise and have another reflection, and then another exercise, and then we're going to check out. And hopefully by the end of this play shop, you should have a very clear idea of what your own core values are, as well as how you could integrate those into your practice. Right, so I want you to look at these images. I'm going to show you 10 images, and we're going to use them in the check-in, but I want you to look at them before we check in and choose the one that resonates the most with you. So look at the image, and if you feel that that resonates with you, choose the one and then send me. And I'll have to come off the screen share at the end so you can send me in the. I don't think I can see the chat. Let me just see if I can.
You can see the chat. You just have to open it like a little blocks.
Okay, let me do that. So, and then what I'd like you to do. No, that's not right. Go back to that. Okay. How do I go? Oh, baby, here in my view. No, I can't see the chat. Ruben?
If you click on the chat, just click on the chat at the bottom in your toolbar at the bottom.
Screen though, so I'm seeing a full screen.
Well, can you see more or not? And then you click on more and it opens it as a separate box. But otherwise, never mind.
I think you have to open up Zoom first, Rhiannon, and then there you see the toolbox, and then if you click chat, you'll get the.
All right, let me quickly go to that Zoom. I tell you what, you can just tell us which one you've chosen.
Yeah.
That's going to be easier for me.
Sure.
And then I will tell you which value that image relates to, because each of these images comes from a set of values cards, and they all relate to an image. So I'll just tell you, you can tell me which one it was. Okay, so this is the first image. That's the second. The third one. Okay. Okay, so those are them. I'll go back just once more so you can just double check. So there's that one, that one. Okay, so we can do, I can tell you in the check-in what the value is, and then you can use that to share. So let's go back through to the next slide. Right, so for the check-in, so we're going to check in using your name. Where in the world are you from? What do you do? Just very briefly, so maybe a minute each. What image did you choose? And then I'll tell you what value that is. And then perhaps you could share how that value showed up in your life recently. Or if you're struggling with that, you can just say what the image said to you and why you chose it. So I can model it. So hi, I'm Rhiannon, and I'm checking in from Oxfordshire in the English countryside, and I am a lawyer, an integrative lawyer, and a few other things. And the image that I chose was the one with the woman standing in the rain, and that value is gratitude. And how did that value show up in your life recently? Well, the picture for me is very topical at the moment. Just hold on a second, I need to speak to my children. Okay, sorry, that's the new normal where you tell off your children in the middle of a presentation. So, that image for me is, it's raining outside now, and so I was drawn to the rain, and I don't like the rain very much, but it reminds me to be grateful for rain, because water is such a precious resource, but also to be grateful for everything that I have, because often when things aren't going well, and I've had a very tough year, and now I'm here in the UK with my family, and it's been 10 months since I saw my husband. I can focus on what I've not had, and instead I want to remind myself to think with gratitude about what I have. So that's my check-in. So I'm going to throw the ball to the next person on my screen. We've got a few people who've joined. Welcome to those people who've joined. This is an interactive session, so we're checking in, and I hope you will join us with that. So the next person on my screen is Sphere.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sphere. I am in a Paisley chair in Cape Town in South Africa. It is not raining. What do? I do many different things, but what I'm returning to is working with end of life, particularly end of life as you know it, so not just death and dying. And of course, this year has given me a huge amount of opportunity. to do work that I really love but have not done. I'm an educational psychologist, a professional coach by qualification and training, but I'm very, very interested in everyday life and the creativity that people bring, particularly to difficult circumstances, because having lived in South Africa, we have difficult circumstances in abundance. Okay, the image that I chose, I really was like, oh, she's not going to ask me to choose one issue. So I was sort of doing that irritating thing of wanting to say, are you sure that I have to only choose one? So I was very struck with the one that I call the walkway, which was the first one, but the one that actually I settled on was the woman and child. And then the elephant and the hearts also appealed to me. But anyway, let's go with the woman and child.
So, okay, thank you. Thanks, Samir. So actually how I do this exercise in, human form when we're all together in person is hold the pack of cards, which is it's actually a set of 72 cards.
Yeah.
And you pick a card and you just talk to the one that you get. So, and there seems to be a bit of magic in that people always get the right card. So this is a way to try and do it online. So that one with the woman and child, where she is showing the child, I think, how to do something, is the value of future generations.
Okay. And do you think we might be able to persuade you later to tell us about the other ones that we chose, whatever, not right now? I can be patient. When did... Oh.
Maybe not on mute. You can just mute.
Yeah. No, I got muted by the host because there seemed to be a whole lot of grumblings. When did that show up? Future generate. What was it? What did you say to me? Hang on, let me just get back there.
Yeah, so how did that value show up in your life recently? The value of future generation.
Okay, well, my life has been completely recapitulated, calibrated, or a lot of different verbs, by being involved in homeschooling with an 11-year-old and the whole breakdown in education. And so I'm very, very intrigued at the way in which, and I've been very involved in listening closely to what children, they range from about 9 to about 12, are saying about how they're experiencing this time and what they are noticing about what grown-ups are doing and talking about. And it's vastly different from what I hear lots of very well-intentioned parents, teachers, and other people thinking is good for children for the future. So it's really for me a time where I'm going back to that sort of grounded research that I used to do, of thinking, who is the future generation, and what about if I listen to them instead of listening to what everyone thinks is a good idea for them. So that's been my preoccupation and probably will continue for the next foreseeable time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's really interesting. Okay, do you want to pass the ball to someone, the virtual ball?
Sure. Well, let me pass it to Samir, if you're happy to take it, and then other people who've just arrived will have opportunities to catch up.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I'm hearing a little bit of static noise. Okay, I think it's better now. So my name is Samir. I'm based in Amsterdam right now in the Netherlands. What do I do? I explore and I ask questions and I wonder. These are some of the things that I do, and I think they manifest in different ways. I mean, I do some facilitation, coaching as well, and I just love to have deep and meaningful conversations with people about their lives, life in general, and what the future may hold or should hold, and how we can create that together. What image did I choose? Also a difficult one, but I think I'd go with the first one. So I'm curious to hear what value that.
Okay, so yeah, that bridge. It's a very beautiful image, a walkway. And that image is associated with the value of continuous development.
Oh, beautiful. I was gonna say that I thought we were gonna have to sort of describe or associate a value to it, and I was gonna say something like like reflection in solitude or something, which also has the end outcome of continuous development.
Yeah,
I guess in some sense.
that's a great idea for another, an exercise, is just to put the images out there and say, we'll associate a value with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
But so how did that value show up in my life recently? It's really always there. I'm always thinking about how I can improve myself and my contribution to the people and world around me. So yeah, so it's hard to say exactly when that came around. Oh, sorry, when it showed up recently. It's like almost every day. Whenever I ask a question to myself or maybe more practically, like this morning. I mean, I have a regular meditation practice, but the past couple of days, because it's been so busy, it's been difficult for me to do it. But today I did it, and that's part of my continuous development. So I'll pass on the ball to Anil. Anil, would you like to share your answers or responses to the question? I don't know if you can hear me, Anil.
I think Anil was the person who was having the difficulty with the sound, so he might.
Okay, is he managing to connect? Otherwise we can go to Abaro. Anil, can you hear us? If you can hear us, do a thumbs up. Not sure.
No, Anil is double connected, so he's obviously trying to find a connection on a device that works.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yes, there are two connections for him there. Him and his alter ego. Abaro, are you there?
Hello, everyone.
Ah, there we go.
Good morning, everyone. Yes. Yeah, this is Obara Solomon. I'm from Nigeria, West Africa. I'm a legal practitioner, and I do research presently for a federal high court a federal high court judge. That is a National Industrial Court of Nigeria. Now, image, I came a little bit late, so I didn't see any of the images. If you can just bring them up again so that I pick one from the image.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll quickly go back to the images. So what I wanted people to do was to just look at those images and choose one that resonated with them or that they liked, or for whatever reason. And then I was going to tell you what value it was associated with and how that, and then share with us how it might have showed up in your life. Or you can tell us why you chose the image. It doesn't have to be about the value if you're struggling with that. So I'll just go back. I think I can go screen sharing. Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay, so that's 1.
Okay.
2, there are 10 of them.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Okay.
I'll go back.
Well, I'm quite fascinated with 2 images. One
We lost you there.
then the other one with a little sugar behind we need.
You broke off, Obaro. We didn't hear what you just shared with us.
Yes, I got yanked off. I think it's my network over here. But can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Okay. Okay, good. So I was talking about the images. I think I'm fascinated by two images. One is that mama and the baby. Then the other one is the two elephants, one behind the other. Now, for me, I see the image of the baby and mama like our little children looking up to us to learn values and morals. Then the one with the elephant, I see it as something portraying us that we really can't do it on our own. We need somebody, we need to move forward in this life and then make impact. So that is how I see those two images.
Okay, so yeah, you've read them quite well. So the one with the mama and the baby,
Yes.
even the I think it might be the grandma. It looks to me like the grandmother and
Yeah. Yes, it seems.
yeah, is the value of future generations, and the value that is represented by the elephants, and it's again a mama elephant, I think, and a baby elephant, and just gently nudging it into the river, is the value of courage.
Okay, okay, good.
So if you want to maybe tell us a little bit if those values have showed up in your life recently, or maybe you want to you've interpreted the pictures for us, so you've kind of put on there that it is about doing things, for the children, and also about having some help to negotiate obstacles, and yeah. Anything else you want to add, Abara? How that's shown up for you recently?
Oh, well, I can see it from different angle. I can see it from the family angle, and I can see it from the workplace angle. But then let me look at it from the workplace angle. Sometimes at the workplace, we face a lot of challenges. We face a lot of challenges, and it takes a lot of courage to surmount those challenges. So if you don't have people you look up and you don't have people who are always there for you to support you, you start seeing yourself as an island. But once you have people there who are supporting your ideas, then they help you to go a long way in actualizing your ideas. So I get a lot of courage from the workplace for people when I bring up an idea, they support it. That goes a long way in actualizing the idea. But most of the time when I come up with an idea and I don't have people supporting it, the idea might be an orphan and it ends up dying as an orphan.
So thank you for sharing that. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about this summit, is that we're finding people who, finding our tribe in a way, the people who have similar views and similar ideas and want to make a difference in this new normal that we're negotiating. And so it's wonderful to connect with people from all over the world who we might never have come across if it hadn't been for this. And another thing just about the value of courage is that the root of the word courage is cœur, which is the French word for heart. And for me, there comes a point where where when you are supported enough by other people who have similar ideas and similar desires to make something happen, you can actually find the courage in your own heart to do things, even if the people around you, like physically around you, aren't doing that, because you know that there's a deeper support out there and you're not the only one doing things, maybe doing things differently. Thank you for sharing. That was great. Okay.
Thank you, too.
Yeah. Yes. Do you want to say something?
No, I said thank you also.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
Yes.
Great. Okay, do you want to, so let's pass the ball to somebody else who hasn't been yet. Should we try with Anil again? Anil, is your mic working? Please look at the chat to make some space for Anil to share. Okay, yes, Reuben. I will, let me send him a message. He can check in on the chat. Yeah, it says he's not in this meeting on that one. Try that one. See if he replies. In the meantime, Lakita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. As you said, my name is Lakita. I am from Trinidad and Tobago. Currently, I'm studying and I also work in an intergovernmental organization. With regard to the image, I liked the first image a lot. And if I have to interpret it, I think it resonated with me because one of the ideas that has cropped up a lot, or one of the perspectives that has cropped up a lot, is about sort of making the most of a catastrophe. And right, so I think, like, you know, often we'd say, oh, we don't want to be in the rain, and you'd run away from it, or you'd get an umbrella, but it's just sort of basking in that uncertainty. So that's why I liked that one.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's the first one for you was the last one for us, I think. So it's is it the woman standing in the rain?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's the value of gratitude. And it's the one, yeah, it's the one that I chose today as well. Yeah, and it's about just being grateful, even if in the moment it could be a catastrophe, it could be a blessing. One doesn't really know. Thank you. Okay, Anil says he's just going to enjoy listening to us all. You're welcome to, if you can, you're welcome to share things on the chat. I've managed to open the chat, so now I can see that as well. Okay, well, let's move on. So thank you very much for checking in. We're going to move on to a brief introduction to values. Let me, how do I go to the next slide? There we go. You're not, I've got the chat thing. Let me just minimize that. Okay, so a brief introduction to values. There we go. So values are like the things that give our life their flavor in a way. And we all have, you know, different ones, but there are also some that many people have in common. And if you'll find that the people that you like to spend time with, the people you hang out with, often have very similar values, and that's why you like them. And that the people that you struggle to really understand have quite different values. But so the thing about values is that we all have them, but often people don't really reflect on what their values are, and they kind of act in an unconscious way because they just, you know, do these various things and make decisions. Sometimes they keep making the same decision and they're not sure why they do that. So if one takes a step back and becomes more self-aware about what your values actually are, it can allow you to make more coherent decisions and decisions with integrity. And what often happens is where you've made a decision, you've been forced into a decision by something, you might find that the values around the values that lead you to that decision, have led you to that decision, are somebody else's values and not your own. And where you make a decision, you feel like this is just so right for me. This is a good decision. It's because intuitively you followed your values. But if you spend some time reflecting on what your own values are, you can see how to align your values and your decisions and your work and your family. And then there becomes this feeling of the feeling of alignment and the feeling of integrity and wholeness. And I think that that's something that people are looking for in this new normal, because we've seen that people want to feel connected in many, many ways, and they want to feel more able to be themselves. And that many of the values of the world, such as the values of a capitalist society, don't fit with their own values. And then there's this feeling of disconnect. So how, instead of adjusting our values to fit in with the capitalist society, do we focus on what values we want as a society and then build a society to reflect those? So, the thing, so I like to use an image of a compass for values, because they are the things that help you make the decisions. So, and they are your guiding, like your North Star, your guiding point that you put ahead, and that's where you're headed. And when you have clarity about that, your path becomes much clearer. So for me, that's been really wonderful, because how I came to values was when I was practicing in a law firm that didn't have any of my values. In this law firm, I felt like a fraud most of the time, and I felt like I was dressing up in this suit that I put on and my high heels and my little briefcase, and I went off into this world of other values, which were more around sort of financial sort of wealth and success and ambition, and there was control. Conflict was even a value there, because the conflict was what led to business, people's conflict. So those, and so those are not my values. And I felt I started to get more and more depressed and more unhappy in myself. I didn't feel like I knew who I was, and I felt like a fraud. And so I then went on this journey of what are my values? Why don't I, what are they? Obviously they're not those, but what are they? I don't even know what they are. So to try and find out what my values are, and then take the next step of aligning my work with my values. And when I started doing that process, I realized I couldn't stay in this law firm because it was not aligned at all. So if I wanted to stay in the law as a lawyer, well, the options were either leave and move into a profession that had more values like mine, or create my own practice within the law, within the legal paradigm that reflected my values. And since doing that, I'm a much, much happier person than I was. And I'm a better lawyer as well, because I can be my whole self when I practice. This image for me, which is also a values cards image, is the value of autonomy. Well, I've associated with that value, but it's around how our values influence our decisions. So if, for example, you're the skipper of a yacht, and you're looking at the map, and you have to get from point A to B, and you know that if you go north, you'll get there more quickly, but the winds are much stronger. And it could be a really tough journey, because you might have to negotiate with some storms and wind and not such calm seas. But if you take the southern route and go that way, it's going to take you longer, but you're going to have a really gentle sail. And perhaps you're, not a particularly experienced skipper, and so you might choose that route because it's an easier route. However, it's going to take you longer. Now, depending on your values, if you have a value of efficiency, for example, you might decide, okay, I want to get there as soon as possible. I'm going north, and so you go there. But then, if you have a value of efficiency, sometimes you lose out on the slowness and the journey and the beautiful sail through the calm seas. So that, knowing what your values are, knowing what they stop you from having as well is really important. And if you have a value of safety over everything else, you might choose to go the long route and rather take a couple more days sailing, but know that when you get there, everyone's going to be fine. There's going to be no damage to the boat, and you're not going to have a ripped spinnaker or something like that. So values really influence the course that we take in our lives. And the more you know about your own values, the more your course, your journey is on the right path in a way, or you've made the right choice about where you want to go. And you can say no to things because you know that those don't fit with you. Whereas people who aren't sure about their values say yes to things that don't feel comfortable, and yes to clients who don't feel comfortable, because these clients are very different values to theirs. And that's when you end up in those situations as a lawyer where your client turns on you, or you just hate working for them, but you're stuck in this relationship because you took them on in the first place. So, time for thinking about our own values. And for those who've joined later, I think what I was saying is that it's important to do, and I've said this a bit earlier, it's important to do the inner work of what your own values are before you can start making changes in your practice. So you need to know your own. So ways of finding out your values are, so what do you love? What do you really love? And what breaks your heart? When you see something and it absolutely breaks your heart to see those kinds of things. What are those? And what makes you rant? So Facebook is a good place to figure those things out. Not that those rants ever change anyone's mind, but someone will post something and you'll just be like, I can't bear that. And then you write a response, and then it becomes this whole thing, and but that makes you realize these are the things that make you rant. So what I'd like to do, and I was going to do this in small groups, and we are 3, and I think we might be able to do it. If we've got Neil. I don't know if where's the chat gone? Let's see. Okay, I've missed some stuff on the chat from Sarah. Oh, what are the similarities and different values and bias and decision making? And then bump into someone raising the bias question. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean that you need to take any of those chat things. I just put them there so I don't forget.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think we can come back to that at the end because they are a bit different. Yeah, because there's just briefly there's beliefs. I think for me, beliefs and values are very different things, and beliefs are what lead to bias. Okay, so maybe we could do a small groups. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you think? Would you like to do one group of 2 and one group of 3, or would you all 5 like to go in a group? Any feedback on that? Ruben, I'm assuming you're not joining us, but I mean, I'd love you to join us. If you did, that would make 2 groups of 3, which would be brilliant. But he might not actually be there. So he could have stepped out.
No, I'm here. There should already be 2 groups of 3 without me, but that's as many groups as you can have.
1, 2, yeah, 2 groups of. Well, I don't want to be in a group. So I was thinking it could be we could do Ruben, Lakita, and Barbara.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can be part of a group.
You can't. Okay, that's
I
fine.
have to make sure things are okay.
Right. And then I don't know about Anil. Can he chat to us on the chat whether he could join a group? So can we join a group? Otherwise, let's just do the group. Then let's just put the 4 of you in 2 groups of 2. So Spare and Abaro and Lakita and Samir. Can you do that, Ruben? Put them into groups. So this is not yet, because I just want to share the exercise with you. This is the exercise. In your small groups, you will each have 3 minutes to share your answers to the questions. What do you love? What breaks your heart? And what makes you rant? And so it's a group of 2. So the speaker speaks for 3 minutes, and person 2 is going to have to play the roles of person 2 and person 3. So listen actively without interrupting. Don't just let them talk. Really focus on the person, and then you'll have a minute at the end of when they're finished, which is up to 3 minutes, to reflect back to them. What values did you hear? What values did you hear as they were talking about? So it's always nice to have someone reflect back to you, because sometimes they reflect things you might not have thought about, and then you swap. Okay, and so that should take 3, 6, about 10 minutes. So, and I will give you a 5-minute and a 2-minute, or Ruben, I don't know if I can or Ruben can, but we'll do a 5-minute and a 2-minute warning.
I'll time the room and also do
Thank
that.
you very much. Okay, so we're going to put Sphere together with Abaro and Lakita and Samir. And if you want to put Anil into a group and see if he can come appear, that's also fine. But I can't see the chat. It's gone again. Sorry. Oops, okay. Are we ready? Does everyone know what they're doing? Ah, someone's just joined.
Yeah, you've got Heinrich Pina arriving.
Okay, that's great. Let's put him into a group. I'll put him in with you, Sphere. Could you put Heinrich into the group with Sphere? And then could you just explain briefly to him what we're doing? Would that be all right?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Ruben. Would you like to just do a quick introduction for us?
Yes, please. My name is Heinrich Pienaar. I'm from South Africa. I'm a data analyst, but I'm currently studying my master's in international economic law. And I've just loved every session that I've been in so far. Even the one yesterday where we got pornography bombed, but yeah, but thanks.
I heard about that. Yeah, I've only ever read about those things. I wish I was there so that I could say I'd been in a session that had been bombed. But welcome. So it's very nice to have you here. We're doing looking at values and how to get to know your own values, and then by knowing your values, how you can integrate them into your practice. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen. Well, I don't need to share the screen for this, but we were going to have a little bit of time for some reflection in plenary. Would anyone like to feedback a little bit on what happened in their group? And I'll just open the floor.
Well, I didn't want to say something about the group particularly, but I just think they're 3 really great evocative questions that no matter who one's talking to, wherever they live in the world, can answer them. So really thank you for that. Because often surfacing values gets very convoluted and intellectual and complicated. So it was just great to have 3, oh yeah, I can answer those, and so can anyone else.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think as you say, those transcend our culture and our socioeconomic background and all those things, because we all have those. We all love things. We all have things that break our heart, and it's a great way of sort of just going, yeah, sort of not intellectualizing things too much, which what lawyers especially tend to think.
But what I also wanted to say, that what I really loved as well, because language is like the thing I work with and I love, is that instead of having what do you love and then the binary, what do you hate, which then introduces a word which is very evocative in a quite negative way for many people and often can't be answered, like I'm not allowed to hate something, so can't answer that. Instead, you know, what do you love and what breaks your heart? And then what do you rant about? You know, so I just really, that's why I just wanted to say thank you, because I'm not sure how, I don't know if they just popped into your mind, whether you adopted them or fostering them from someone else, or whether you spent hours figuring it all out, but they were just great questions. I might need to adopt them. I might need to adopt them.
Welcome to have them. Yeah, use them, please. Please go ahead and use them. So does anyone want to share, was there any common values that came up in any of the groups?
I think one common value, which I would even think that is a value that might be just universal for all human beings, and that is the value or the love in being able to contribute to someone else, you know, whether it's making someone smile or making someone happy or just serving someone else. There's something about that just, I think, touches everyone's heart in some way, and yeah, probably has something to do with, you know, that we're social creatures, as they say, and it's such an important part of who we are. So that's something that came up in our conversation.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, I think there is, so I call that the value of connection, but it can go, you know, people put different names on that thing. But for me, there is something about connecting with another human being and connecting in a positive way, that we are relational beings. And so that's why a relational approach really works, because it just feels so natural, rather than something like an adversarial approach, because we're not necessarily naturally adversarial beings. We're pushed into that by situations, and sadly often by lawyers. You know, it's not that litigation does that, but it's the kind of attitude and the mindset that people bring in litigation, because litigation has a place for some matters that can't be resolved in other ways. But it's how, yeah. So that's a lovely observation. Do we have one more? Someone want to feedback with one more thing before we move on to the next exercise? Anyone? Maybe from the other group? Lakita, are you there? Must be very early in the morning or late at night for you.
Hi, it's morning. Sorry, I was speaking to my mom. One thing I think that came up in our session was the value of respect. Everyone sort of spoke about the generosity and kindness, but I think linked to that is the respect in it and seeing the person before you as another human being, not necessarily seeing this situation, but taking them at face value, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term for it. So one, not seeing any adverse or ulterior motives behind what they're doing, but also for the person on the receiving end, not treating them as less than and using them to make yourself look better.
Lovely, and I think that also ties in with the value of trust, that as human beings, if we can trust each other, that we're not trying to pull one over, how much more meaningful and you know, engaging can our interactions be. So for me, that's such a big thing in my practice, is I try to build trust with my clients, that they really feel that I'm there to support them and get the best for them, not to help one pull the wool over the other one's eyes or something like that. And I often have to deprogram them on that, because as soon as you mention maybe you know, one party will say, I think we need a contract to regulate this. The other one's like, oh, why do we need a contract? And then it's like to turn around that thing and say, well, actually the contract provides clarity and it can do all these things for you. It's not just about what your, you know, what the sort of anecdotal understanding of contracts is. And so, yeah, that's great. Thank you. So, and Danielle has said, constructive contribution with a touch of compatibility. That's lovely. I like the alliteration as well. Exactly, yeah. I think, yeah, and also a touch of compassion can go a long way as well. Right, so I'm going to share my screen again because we're going to move on to another exercise. This one, there we go. Are you seeing that? So the next slide, great. Next slide. That was just an image for reflection, for us to reflect in plenary. Okay, so this is a great exercise, and we've got half an hour, 20 minutes left. So I think we'll do this one because it takes about 10 minutes, and then I'll just share the next exercise with you, unless we have time, but it's quite a fun one. And then we could move on to this last one for just some discussion about the questions. So I want you to go online for this one, if you can, and do a quick personal values assessment. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you can do it, just open up another screen on your computer, and you can find out what your personal values are, and you get a free assessment. It's not the be all and end all of values work, but it's a tool, and it's a very useful tool. And I ask all my clients to do this. Not all of them do it, and that's very revealing as well. But it starts off the conversation, and it's a really lovely way to start talking to people. So understanding your values. So who you are, what you hold dear, what upsets you, and what underlies your decisions are all connected to your personal values. Your values reflect what is important to you, and they are a shorthand way of describing your motivations. And together with your beliefs, they are the causal factors that drive your decision making. Personal values assessment is a simple survey that takes just a few minutes of your time and provides a wealth of information about why you do what you do. So this is the link. If you're lazy, you can just type in PBA Barrett, BARRETT, values assessment. Otherwise, go to valuecenter.com/tools assessments PBA, and you should find there a screen where you can select your language, so you can do it in your own language, and enter your email address. They won't spam you, I promise. You don't get any further emails from them, and follow the steps and choose 10 values that you think are your core values. Thank you, Samir, for putting that in the chat. Yeah, just click on the link in the chat, and take 5 minutes to do that exercise. If anyone's having trouble finding that, oh yes, I do share my values with clients. That was a question. I do share my values with clients because I think it helps them to decide whether or not they want to work with me, and it's a joint decision.
I'm sorry, please. It cut it a bit here. We have to go to this site to exercise our values. Is it correct?
That's right. Click on the link and do the little assessment there. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes, and then you'll get almost immediately an email with with a report, a free report.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is quite difficult sometimes to get it down to the 10, but it won't let you submit it unless you have that. We haven't got a lot of time, so if you can You can always come back to this and do it again.
Yeah.
Just often if you don't overthink it, that's also really good. You'll find that there's some values there that are missing. Like you might have a value. I know that one of the ones that I have, which is connection, isn't on there because this is more for business people. So it's so that's the other thing about values tests, is the values that are there might not necessarily be for that are aimed at a particular group. Okay, so if you've submitted, it should appear shortly in your mailbox. I'm just going to and maybe tell me on the chat when it has. I'm just going to move on to the next slide. We're not going to do this exercise, but this is I'm just thinking we could do it because it takes a minute. We've got about 10 minutes. Maybe we should do it. They'll come back to it until you've received your things. So while we're waiting for your things, these are some questions that you can ask yourself, because we won't have time now to do it in the group. Perhaps I was a bit ambitious. Maybe this is a day-long work play shop. And but you can always come back to these things if you would like to. So taking it from sort of personal values into work, into the life of your practice as such. How are your core values represented in the work that you do? Okay, and are you satisfied with that? And how would your life be different if what you love about your work increased? And do you see one change you could make to begin? So the thing about crafting a life that is based on values, where your values in your private life are aligned with the work that you do, helps to build purpose and coherence. But it's not a quick process. It takes time. So it helps just to answer that, to see one change you could make to begin. And some of you might find that there's a lot of congruency, and so it's easy to find. You feel that you're quite satisfied, but most people want to have more alignment, and so find your core values. We'll come back to that in the last exercise. Are you satisfied with how they're represented in your work? And how would your life be different if what you love about your work increased? That's a great question. And do you see one change you could make to begin? I'm going to go back. How do I go back on this slide? Whoops. We have 8 minutes, so we can do this quick. Has everyone received their assessments? No. Okay, well then maybe you'll have to do this one on your own as well. Has anyone received their assessment?
I haven't seen mine.
No, not yet.
No, okay. Maybe it's not quick enough. Okay, it is Sunday. maybe on a Sunday it takes longer.
Yeah, I had a quick look in my spam and my junk, but it's not gone there either. So
okay. It will come. Yeah, that's unusual, because when I do it, it sort of comes in about 3 or 4 minutes. Anyway, so this is a really great exercise to do, and but it helps to do it with someone facilitating, is to get down to your core values. So once you've received your assessment, you write down your 10 values on little strips of paper or on post-its, each one on an individual piece of paper. And then you put them out in front of you and you look at them and see an overview rather than a list. So you've got this overview of what are your 10 values that you've chosen. And then timing yourself and being very, very strict with the timing. I haven't put the exercise up here, but so what I was going to do is I was going to give you 30 seconds to remove 3 values. So you write down your list of 10 and you have 30 seconds to take away 3. And then you have another 20 seconds to take away 2. And then another 20 seconds to take away 2 more, and you end up with 3. And you'll be amazed to see that those 3 are your core values. And often what you can find is that those 3 values can embrace the others that you took away. So where you explain your values using a reference to other values. So let's say if one of your core, so for me, my core value, our number 1 value is love. And love encompasses compassion, empathy, friendship, generosity, kindness, for me, okay? All those things, which I also have on my list. But if I sort of go right down to the core, then that is the one. Okay, so Anil's sharing his, which is great here. Accountability, achievement, being the best, commitment. Samir got his report. That's great. Okay, there's a lot of feedback in the report as well, so it's quite a nice thing to read, and it's very affirming because you've just chosen what's core to you, and now this report is telling you about the person that you are. And I find that a really affirming process. So, and also gives you some tips on where you might need to develop more. Commitment, courage, creativity, fairness, humor and fun, great. Okay, so we're into the last 5 minutes. I'm really sorry to rush you on this, but I hope you can take your assessments and read through them, and that they will guide you to how to move forward in your practice. So, and these questions, I wonder if someone, I don't know how I can copy and paste them into the chat, but I think the slides are going to be shared. So this, you'll get these slides. Do the slides get shared? Leadership, making a difference, personal growth, great values, Anil. You can't have more than 10.
If you take your slide of slideshow,
yeah,
I mean, off screen share, you can just copy and paste it into the chat if you wanted to.
Okay, I'll do that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's easier. I was just starting to quickly write them, but
Oh, no, okay, yeah. Let me copy and paste. There we go. Okay, I've got it. Yeah, that'll be easier. And anyway, we're getting to the end now. But I'll just put my screen share back on because there's some. Oh, I can read them to you. Let me see if I can.
It's very cool. And then we better save the chat before we disappear.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, exactly. Share. Okay, so there we go from beginning. Whoops.
Such a cool tool.
So yeah, it's a great tool. Really useful. Okay, so I just wanted to finish off then with these last few slides. We've got 3 minutes. We want out, which is sad. When you have to do a one-word checkout. So just this is the sweet spot where your clarity, you have clarity on and vision, and you know your values. You know what your values are and where you're spending your time and energy overlap. And the more that you overlap, that the bigger your sweet spot is. So that is a really lovely little diagram. And this is from Brené Brown. I'm a big fan, and she describes values. A value is a way of being or believing that we hold most important. Living into our values means that we do more than profess our values. We practice them. We walk our talk. We are clear about what we believe and hold important, and we take care that our intentions, words, thoughts, and behaviors align with those beliefs. And we take care that we live according to our values. Okay, so this was just a checkout. I hope I've planted a seed. Those are some seeds, and that this grows for you into something bigger. There's my LinkedIn profile if you'd like to connect. I'd love to carry on the conversation. And we've got 2 minutes, which we can all do a 2-word checkout as we go on. So I'll model that. I'm Rhiannon. I'm checking out inspired and grateful. Okay, and I'll hand it over to Samir.
I was going to say inspired as well. That's my 1-word checkout. I'm inspired to take this further. Thank you.
Let's go to Speyer next. and then pass it on
Oops.
to someone.
Okay, sure. I'm Svea, I'm checking out. I am peace-filled. I shall pass it to, let's have a look. Anil.
We might put it in the chat. Anil, can you put your checkout in the chat?
Yes.
Yes, he says.
Okay.
Do you want to check out with just one word? Rest, that's fine. That is one word. Or do you want to have something else there? While Anil's doing that, let's pass it on to Heinrich.
Thank you, Heinrich, checking out. I would also want to steal yours, Rhiannon, and say inspired, but also provoked, you know, to put this into action. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And Anna, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was enjoying. I was reading the message and I was enjoying because it reflects. I think it worked a lot. That's I'm here quiet, just thinking about this is to start my day. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks. And Anil checked out. He said, fantastic. Yes, one change I could make to begin is consistent creativity. I love that. That's lovely. Yeah, good luck. And Abaro, let's go over to you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone for you guys rock, amazing minds, and I tapped into some of the amazing minds here, so it's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Lakita, I love your name, Lakita. I have to say it like that.
Hi, yes, so I'm Lakita, and thank you for liking my name. And I'm also very inspired as we check out.
Great. Is that everyone? I think so. Great. Well, we've slightly gone over time. Thank you, Ruben, for all your hard work in the background. And thanks, Samir, for being a participant as well as a moderator.
Thank you, Rhiannon. And I think for the wonderful presentation, this experience that you created for us, I think there was some commonalities that we're all feeling inspired as a result of this. So really, thank you for taking the time and for being part of the summits. It's really a wonderful experience. And I would like to share with everyone here that part of the summit at the Future Law Virtual Summit is the collaborative journey, which we have every day at 12:30 and 4:30 CET, Central European Time. So that's a moment in the summit where we can all come together to reflect on what we've been hearing and collaborate and meet other negotiators to discuss some of the challenges that we're facing together. So this was very interactive, of course. Some other plenary talks are not so much fun, you could say, but this is an opportunity to meet some other people as well. So I'm gonna.
Can you put the link in the chat for that?
Yeah. I just found it over here.
Thank you.
So I'm posting a link over here. So it's starting actually right now, and today's theme is mapping high leverage strategic intervention points. Big term for finding the opportunities for us to make systems change. So you can join in over there if you're still feeling interactive, and then I'll see you guys there. And thank you all so much, and thank you again, Rhiannon, for being here. Bye, guys. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Samir.
Bye, guys. Ciao.
Bye, thank you.